Hello,
You
ladies
have
and
been
gentlemen.
listening to Stronger
Welcome
Than
to
Steel
the
podcast.
Stronger
Thank
Than
you for
Steel
joining us today, and
podcast
don't
with your
forget to
hosts
check out our
Austin
website,
Davidson
show
and
notes,
John
description
Keir,
below.
talking
Due to unfortunate
Steelers
scheduling
all
conflicts,
the
me and John
time.
weren't
Now,
able to get together
here's
for,
Austin
these
and
two episodes,
John.
But starting next week, we should be able to get back on track and be able to, do 2 episodes together. So, going into this game, we're going to be previewing the Steelers against the Cincinnati Bengals. It's a revenge game for the Steelers. The last time they met, Cincy won 24-10. It was a famous game because at the end, Tyler Boyd said it looked like the defense had just given up, and that went through a lot of the news media and stuff about that comment. And honestly, I wasn't mad about it. I know a lot of people were because, he called out the team, but I was happy about it. I was glad that he said something because it puts a drive in the Steelers, extra drive. They shouldn't need it, but putting that out there is just asking for revenge later to get punched in the mouth. It gives them an extra drive. So I liked it because it was also true. The team looked like it defeated by the end of that game. So I had no problem with him calling the Steelers out for that. But anyway, as for the all-time series, the Steelers have they've met quite a few times. Steelers lead the series 67-37. As I already mentioned the last result. Unfortunately, the Steelers are on a 2-game losing streak. The Steelers haven't lost 3 games against Cincinnati in quite a while in a row. I think Boomer Esiason was the quarterback the last time that happened, so that should tell you how long ago it was. So before we get into actually going to the game, I want to talk about some Steelers news and some injury report. Of course, after my last episode, like maybe a few hours after it went up, Minkah Fitzpatrick was activated off the reserve COVID list. I mentioned it being a possibility very soon, and of course it went up right after the episode. So, unfortunate timing, but Minkah's off the list, so that's a good thing. Definitely could have used him last week, but it's good he's there. Now going to the injury report. J.C. Hassenauer, pectoral, is out. Eric Ebron with a knee is out. Neither of them practiced at all this week. Joe Hayden with a foot injury is questionable. He started this week as a non-participant, but logged 2 limited participations to close out the week. His status is up in the air. We're going to have to see on Sunday. It sounds like he's going to be a game-time decision on if he plays. It'd be a big boost if he could, but it's not going to be the biggest deal in the world if he can't. I feel confident in James Pierre getting more snaps. That is it for the injury report, the official injury report. TJ Watt, Trey Turner, Isaiah Loudermilk, and Arthur Millette all have no designations despite being limited or not practicing at some point during the week. Good to note with Millette, he has not tested positive for COVID. The reason he did not practice was an illness, so it's very good there. Watt, no designation, also very good. And as I said in the last episode, we'd have to watch Turner to see if there's something serious. Was not, so we're good there. Depth is better all around. For the Bengals, they have a very short list. It's just Auden Tate. He has a thigh injury, and he is doubtful. He finished the week without practicing, so he's the only one on their injury report. All right, let's talk about this game. Steelers vs. Bengals. It's a revenge game for the Steelers. They got punched last time, punched right in the mouth. Since he kind of proved that they could compete, they've kind of stunk since then. They haven't been doing very good as a team in terms of record-wise, but they're still a team that I think is pretty good, and they just blew out the Raiders prior to this the Thursday night games that just happened. So, granted, was that the end that they put up all the points? Yeah, but they still, on the scoreboard, blew them out. Something I wanted to address, though, when talking about this game. The teams looked a little different the last time they met. For those that need a refresher, because it was week 3 when the Steelers lost 24-10, the Steelers had no T.J. Watt, no Alex Highsmith, or Deontay Johnson. Those are some big names. The Steelers did have Melvin Ingram at the time. They also had Juju Smith-Schuster, Eric Ebron, Kevin Dotson, and Joe Hayden, who Joe Hayden's still up in the air. So those guys were there, but I don't know if I think I'd rather have just TJ Watt than possibly all those 5. I think that adding TJ Watt is completely different because, you're talking about Melvin Ingram and like Jameer Jones and Derek Tuska starting in that game because no TJ Watt, no Alex Highsmith. Melvin Ingram was fine. He was a solid backup, but I don't know. It's a tough call. I definitely pose that question to you guys. Would you rather have TJ Watt for this game, or would you rather have Juju, Eric Ebron, Kevin Dotson, and Joe Hayden? It's pretty close. It is pretty close. But yeah, and then when you add Alex Highsmith, I'd rather just have that. It makes it no question for me. It's not that Alex Highsmith is amazing, but just adding that on top of T.J. Watt is enough. But yeah, Deontay Johnson's a big loss too. I mean, Deontay Johnson looks like the Steelers' best wide receiver. I'm not sure how it would have went with Juju Smith-Schuster. He wasn't as big of a factor the last time they met. He only had 3 catches for 25 yards, I believe. Might have had a rush as well, but I do not recall. It's been quite a while for that game. But I just wanted to see. I wanted to take a look and see if he had a rush. No, just Najee. But yeah, I like where the Steelers team is at currently, and I like them having those pieces back that they didn't have last time. You're losing your best defensive player and losing your best offensive player. Uh, it's gonna change things. I mean, the Steelers defense did not look good without T.J. Watt. They had a really really bad day, which caused the comments by Tyler Boyd. But I want to look and see how they respond. Now, I do want to point out that the Bengals were missing someone as well. They were missing T. Higgins. And we saw how they struggled against Jamar Chase in that game. I mean, with James Pierre having a major mistake. But adding T. Higgins is going to make it tougher, especially with no Joe Hayden. It's going to be tougher with the three cornerbacks that we had last time. Were struggling with Jamar Chase and Tyler Boyd. Now it's all three of them, which is going to be tough. T. Higgins, I feel like, has been quiet this year. He hasn't been like extra crazy, mostly because he was injured for a portion of the early year. But I mean, it's been the Jamar Chase show. Tyler Boyd's been quiet as well. I mean, he's never been a guy that was like, I feel like in the national media considered highly. I always thought highly of him, but I feel like this year is like a bit of a down year. Like he's really not doing that much, and it's because Jamar Chase is kind of just taking over. He's like saying, "I'm going to be wide receiver one." And that's fine. They could do that. If they drafted Jamar Chase that high for a reason, so it's not like those receivers are bad. But it's been the Jamar Chase show, and that's going to be a big thing for the Steelers in this game. Is going to be stopping Jamar Chase, not letting him do what he did last time, because that was tough. I mean, you look at the stat line. It's just Jamar Chase 4 for 65 with 2 touchdowns. I'll take 4 for 65, but you got to give up. You can't give up those 2 touchdowns. It's going to kill you. Those explosive plays are going to hurt you. So that's something to watch out for. Moving away and just kind of talking about the defense as a whole, I do think that Joe Mixon has been having one of his best years to date. I think that it's going to be tough to stop him. We saw what it was like last week. Trying to stop Austin Eckler. Trying to stop anything last week was tough. That's partially due to the players the Steelers were missing, but something I want to address is that the Steelers can't make that excuse. Every new injury that the Ravens get with how they're doing, I can't make excuses for the Steelers and their depth. The Ravens have been doing it all year. Every single injury, they've rolled with the punches. And to me, it just tells me the Ravens would have won this division easily if not for the injuries. I mean, you think they lost like running back 1, running back 2, running back 3, cornerback 1. All these guys, Nick Boyle for a good portion of the year. They just lost Ardarius Washington, which is what made me say that. Not that he's been an amazing piece, but their offensive line is banged up as well. They just got Ben Cleveland back, and they've been fighting through it. They've been gritty and finding ways to win games. It doesn't matter if they're pretty. The Lions game win wasn't pretty. Neither was the win against the Bears without Lamar Jackson, but they found a way to win without Lamar Jackson. So I don't want to make the excuse for the Steelers anymore, like that they're injured. It's got to be the next man up. It's something that's been preached for a while. Next man up. I have expectations for this team, even if the starters aren't in. I know that Taco Charlton isn't going to play like T.J. Watt, not even close. But they got to step up. People got to step up if they're not going to be there. So, it's a little bit of a rant because I was just thinking about the Steelers being banged up last week. But back to Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon is having one of the better years he's had. I mean, you look at his numbers, he's basically on pace to break his old numbers. It's kind of close. It's not. He's averaging the second best run average of his career. His second year was his best, where he averaged 4.9 yards per carry. But his yards per reception is also at its second highest, only after his rookie year. Just as a whole, I think that he's having a really, really solid year. and he's going to be tough to stop. I mean, it's just he's a guy that really excelled last week. He had a really big week. He really helped the Bengals win against the Bengals. But oh yeah, wow! I was just looking at his scrimmage yards. It looks like, but with the extra game especially, he should be able to beat his scrimmage record yard of 2018 of 1,464. He should be on pace for that. But yeah, he's a good player to watch out for. Other than the wide receivers I pointed out, it's gonna be tough to stop him. I'm very interested to see what the Steelers do with their middle linebackers in this game. It's not very often that their own team kind of says like, "Hey, this guy's just not getting it," or "This guy's not doing his assignment correctly," just straight up to the public, to the media, even if they ask. And that kind of happened this past week with Devin Bush. And I mean, it's fair. Keith Butler was basically asked about it. It's just, let me get the quote for you. Butler on Bush: "He has to dadgum run to the ball like the rest of them do. We demand that from the rest of them. He has to do the same thing. If he does, hopefully he'll be better." That is not a statement you want to hear about your starting middle linebacker. Another thing he said: "Playing linebacker is knowing the front and knowing the coverage. He has to know them both." So he's not like these are pretty big statements, like saying apart from the injury, right? Like, because everyone that's still defending Devin Bush gives him the injury excuse. As I just went on a rant about, I do not care about that. If he is that injured, put in Robert Spillane. But this is damning more than anything, that he doesn't know the coverages, and he has to know both. He has to learn more and more as time goes along. The more he knows, the quicker he'll react, and the more confident he'll be. It doesn't matter how fast you are in a 40-yard dash. If your processing time to figure out what's going on is slow, you're not going to get there. He's not filling gaps. He's not being smart. And you can't. Smart is not something you could take away from an injury. You could take away his speed, which will make him double worse if he's reacting slow, but the injury isn't going to affect how he processes it, and that's pretty damning. Honestly, after those comments, I would personally put in Spillane. I know I had the hot take last episode of I would trade Devin Bush in the offseason. I know that's not very popular, but I do think, even just in general, I think it would be best to give Devin Bush a little bit of a break. He is coming off that injury. If he's really not up to snuff, he needs to be benched for Spillane. Spillane isn't great. He had a really rough preseason, really rough, not preseason, training camp. Both, I mean, but I was looking for the other one. And that kind of let him out of favor, and that's why the Steelers traded for Joe Schobert. But every time he's come in so far this year, he's actually looked all right. Like, I mean, we're getting bad from Devin Bush. What's the worst we get? Like, the worst possible inside linebacker there is? I don't think we're going to get that if we put Spillane in. They're already putting Spillane in as the one linebacker in one middle linebacker sets, I should say. And that's taking Joe Schobert off the field, who I think has done okay. Like, he's done maybe a solid job, I'd say. So I think that Spillane could get some more playing time and let Devin Bush come off the bench instead for now, if he has to. Let Spillane get in there. My memories of Spillane from last year are still fond. Like, he's not the best, especially not lined up in coverage, but he shouldn't be in coverage against guys like, wide receiver ones like Jarvis Landry. But neither is Devin Bush. And Devin Bush can't make the tackles. He's really struggling. If he's not making tackles, if he's not being fast, like that was what his selling point was coming out of the draft. If he's not processing fast, if he's not knowing what's going on, what is he good for out there? At least with Robert Spillane, I think he could tackle. That's how I feel. I feel like he's a better tackler. So this long rant was brought to you by Bobby Spills. So I personally think that there is a chance that we see this. With those comments are damning. At the very least, it's a warning to Devin Bush, like, hey, you're about to get benched if you don't take this more seriously, if you're not learning what's going on. I really feel like it's a dedicated time thing. But I feel like in the past two episodes I've done enough hating on Devin Bush, so I will leave it at that. As for the safeties and the defensive backs, I'm a little worried about Minka. I am. I'm a little bit worried because he's been sick. The severity of COVID can be I don't know, it could be hit or miss. We saw last year Myles Garrett was not the same player after he got back from COVID. I don't know how severe Minka's symptoms were, but it's still not great. And I worry about how he performs after that. I don't know what he was able to do. I don't know if he was bedridden. No one really asked him those questions. I was kind of disappointed about that. We didn't get to hear from him at all. I guess we will see. Ben Roethlisberger didn't care. Ben Roethlisberger last week came out and said, I'm going to play the best game of my performance after not practicing. So I would love for that to happen again. I'm a little bit worried about him. As for Terrell Edmonds, same thing as usual. He's having a sneaky good season. That is sarcasm. He's been a guy. He's there. He exists. I am worried about Jamar Chase taking off the top again. I will. He really took advantage of the Steelers' last game with his speed. I hope that the safeties do a better job and the defensive backs as well. Joe Hayden being on him, I don't think is a great idea either with a foot injury if he could play. We just need better play from Cameron Sutton and James Pierre, guys who would step into more prominent roles. Cameron Sutton had a really good game last week. If he could keep that up, that would be great. I think Cameron Sutton on Jamar Chase could be a solid matchup. Jamar Chase is still faster, likely, but I think that it would be a better matchup than putting James Pierre on him. I think that Steelers have to take Jamar Chase more seriously this time around. It was week 3 last time. We didn't really know that Jamar Chase was going to be great. We're still coming off a preseason where he dropped so many balls and just didn't look good. But now he's arrived. He's here, so there's that. I think that kind of covers the Bengals offense. I will say that Joe Burrow has been a turnover machine. So the Steelers only have 4 interceptions on the year, which is really bad from compared to previous years at the same time. The Steelers would be great if they could take advantage here and possibly start getting their interceptions up. I mean, he's thrown almost an interception in every game. There's only 3 games this year where he hasn't thrown a pick. That was against the Raiders last game. Jacksonville, that's Jacksonville, they're not very good. Minnesota, that was kind of impressive that he wasn't able to do that. That was week 1 though. I will point that out. But since then, he threw a pick against the New York Jets, threw a pick against Baltimore, threw a pick against Detroit, we got a pick on him the last time. He threw 2 against Cleveland, 2 against Green Bay, and he had an awful 3 against Chicago. So, as of late, he has been a kind of a turnover machine. So I would like to take advantage of that. Hopefully the Steelers can get on that and make it work. Also, I kind of want to see them attack him as a pass rusher. Last time was very disappointing. It's the only game this year that the Bengals didn't give up a sack. They have to be better, and I'm hoping it starts with TJ Watt. I think Watt is going to be the difference maker. Highsmith has also been playing really well as of late, too. After they moved him away from Rashawn Slater last week, put him on Storm Norton, 1.5 sacks. He's getting them in bunches. He hasn't really been getting those numbers, but we were kind of used to that with Bud Dupree, even though in like Bud Dupree's last final years, he was actually getting some sacks. But I like Alex Highsmith to come back in this game and also get his own. I mean, it's a big deal to lose both your starting outside linebackers. So if I see that 0 number again, I'm going to be very, very disappointed. I'm going to be very, very sad about it. With Cameron Hayward, T.J. Watt, and Alex Highsmith all playing, there's no reason the Steelers shouldn't be able to get a sack unless Joe Mixon is tearing them apart on the ground, and that's all they have to do. And then I'd be even more disappointed. I'd be even more disappointed by that. So I feel like that wraps up the offense versus defense matchup. Let's go to our offense versus their defense. Listen, there's no one on the Bengals that I'm really in love with how they've been playing. Their secondary is average, with some pieces that I do like in Jesse Bates and Mike Hilton. I take that back. Jesse Bates is a very, very good player. Jesse Bates, I think, is their best defensive player. But overall, it's just Jesse Bates and Mike Hilton. And I think Mike Hilton, I have bias because I don't even know really how well as a whole he's been doing with the Bengals, but I just think he's still a solid player no matter what. I don't really think about Chidobe Awuzie or any of those guys. I don't know. Their secondary doesn't really do it for me. What I like is I like their front seven. Logan Wilson is a guy that I looked at pre-draft, who I was a big fan of. He was a tackle machine at was it Wyoming or was it? I'm between Wyoming and Minnesota. I think it was Wyoming. He played college for Wyoming. Okay, cool. So I was right on that. Big fan of his. He's kind of broken out this year, and I like what he does for them. Trey Hendrickson. I thought it was a stupid idea to switch out Carl Lawson for Trey Hendrickson. It felt like a lateral move where you took a guy that wasn't in the system and you took Carl Lawson has been good, and Trey Hendrickson had one kind of breakout year with the Saints. I was wrong. Well, not necessarily wrong. Carl Lawson got hurt and is done for the year before he even got a chance to show what he could do with the Jets. So I'm not necessarily wrong, but their move was fine because Trey Hendrickson has been playing really, really good football, I feel like. Big fan of him as well. I think that they're really good players, but after that, yeah, I think their team could be taken advantage of still. I don't see like they're not Trey Hendrickson, Jesse Bates strong. Logan Wilson really solid, like him. Sam Hubbard I like as well. But then you got guys like DJ Reader I'm not a fan of. Larry Ogunjobi hasn't been as good this year. Jermaine Pratt, nope. Marcus Bailey, nope. Eli Apple, ugh. Eli Apple's awful. Eli Apple's just really bad. Von Bell's alright. Like that's solid. That's solid right there. Just their cornerback depth isn't very good though. Their cornerback depth isn't very good, and apart from those guys I pointed out, just not the biggest fan. And that being said, like I pointed out that I probably like Mike Hilton the best. He's kind of their slot option. So, and I like Deontay Johnson against any of those cornerbacks if he gets matched up, but he's not even really going to be matching up against Mike Hilton that much. I can't see that happening. But yeah, I think Deontay Johnson's better than them. I think that Chase Claypool probably is better than them, even though Chase Claypool hasn't had a very good year. I think that just in a straight matchup, like he's better than those guys. Add in the safeties, it becomes a little bit more blurred because you're not going to get those one-on-one matchups. But I actually like the Steelers wide receivers in this game. I like Deontay Johnson getting his chance to play a good game here. Then I think that running the ball should be a bigger concern this week. Not a concern, so to say, but more of a focus. Last week was pitiful. Doing that against the 32nd ranked rush defense was awful. I know that Ben held his own and threw for what he could and did a good job, but it shouldn't be like this anymore. Ben Roethlisberger's 39, almost 40. Just you can't keep doing it to this man. I know that you can't also run Najee off the rails, but this is his rookie season. He's young. This is what you have to do with a first-round running back. You have to be able to dominate them on the ground. I think they'll have a better chance of doing that this week than the last time they played. I hope he does better than last week, but that was honestly still very disappointing. Because again, 32nd ranked run defense. But sometimes the NFL just doesn't make sense. It doesn't have to make sense all the time. But yeah, I'm hoping for better out of them. I want to see Kendrick Green with a complete good game. I'm putting a lot on him because I pointed out that I didn't think he'd be ready for this year pre-draft. So it's putting a lot on him to be ready. But the defensive tackles that he's going to be going up against in DJ Reader and Larry Ogunjobi, I'm not a big fan of. I know Reader's having kind of a solid year, but it just still doesn't do it for me. I think I want to see Kendrick Green doing some push around, not getting pushed back. Bull rushes have been killing him. Like exactly like I thought. It's not even the strength though. I thought it was his strength and his anchoring, but it's just a lot of bad hand placement, which I think I did also point out on the pre-draft. It's been so long ago now, but I don't remember. But yeah, so that's something I'm looking out for. as well. Let me see if there's anything else I want to talk about with the offense versus their defense. Attack Eli Apple. I don't think he's a very good cornerback. Attack him. No, I think that's pretty much it. Ben can't throw as much as he did last game. That's not sustainable. I'm pretty sure last week was more of a fluke than anything. I'm not sure that's something that could happen again. The defense definitely going back now, kind of as a whole for this game. The defense needs to do their job better. They need to hold the Bengals to less than 20 points. It's kind of a hard job to do in today's NFL to hold any team less than 20 points, but it has to be done. I think they could do it. I think with the pieces they got back for this game, especially if Joe Hayden plays and he's actually ready, I think that they could do it. So that kind of wraps up just my overview of this game. So I could go over some NFL stuff now. Let's around the NFL. We are going to start with some NFL news, and it's unfortunate. One of John's favorite prospects, Tre'Davious White, has torn his ACL and is out for the year. This is a huge blow to a Buffalo team that just really has been up and down all year this year. It's not a guy that they could really afford to lose. He's one of their best players, and it sucks. I mean, they won 31-6 on Thursday Night Football, and I guess I could hop into there. They absolutely destroyed. I wasn't sure about them, but I did pick them to cover. New Orleans was so busted up. New Orleans has nothing left. I mean, they were out Alvin Kamara, then they were out Mark Ingram, and I mean, they already had nothing going on. No Adam Troutman. Just nothing on that offense. The offense is one of the worst looking offenses there is. It's just really tough. Trevor Siemian's got nothing. And I mean, Trevor Siemian's a starter, so. But yeah, Buffalo took that blowout, but they also took a major loss in the process, so it sucks for them. Other games, Chicago and Detroit. Close game, bad game. Lions almost pulled it out, but weren't able to. They take a stupid penalty by trying to take back-to-back timeouts. Just bad play from two teams that just are really bad. No, it was Andy Dalton's show for Chicago. David Montgomery didn't look good. The last time David Montgomery played the Lions, he was absolutely going off. He had like 100, I don't know, I think it was 100 rushing yards. I don't even think it was 100 scrimmage yards. I think he had 106. That didn't happen this game. But yeah, the Bears are able to eke it out at the end, win 16-14. We were still right on our Lions +3 prediction. Raiders at Dallas. I will not lie. I saw this coming from a mile away. That spread was huge. That spread was huge for a team that didn't have Amari Cooper or CeeDee Lamb. No way. There's no way. I knew that I kind of thought that the Raiders were gonna win, but I was like, that 7.5 spread. I think I picked a 5.5 spread. For some reason, maybe the line changed when John picked it, but that would have been bizarre because I would have expected Dallas's line to get smaller because CeeDee Lamb was declared out later. But yeah, I was picking the Raiders even when I thought that CeeDee Lamb had a chance to play. Then he got declared out, and I was like, Raiders are winning this game. And what do you know? They did. Dallas made it close, which I never said it wouldn't be close. But Raiders were able to pull out the win, and I'm pretty proud of that. I'm pretty proud of picking that one. I kind of felt that one. That line was a little bit ridiculous. Anyway, let's get to the rest of the NFL for this week. Starting with Buccaneers at Colts. The Bucs are favored by 3 points. Give me the Bucs to cover. I know that Indianapolis is doing a really good job as of late, kind of catching up to the Titans here. They might give them a run for the money. I mean, I talked about earlier in the year that the Titans have the 2-game wins over the Colts, so it's going to be tough for them. But with all the injuries the Titans have suffered, it's open. It's open for the Colts to make a run. But I don't think I think it comes to an end here. I think that the Bucs are going to cover, beat them pretty nicely. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Next game, Panthers at Dolphins. Carolina's favored by 2.5. Give me the Panthers. Think they're going to ride the Cam Newton trade for a while now. Think they're going to actually do solid. And people are going to be like, Cam Newton is back, and then going into next year, he might end up the starter, and he's just going to suck, and a rookie is going to come in and replace him or something like that. I could see it happening. But for this game, Panthers cover. Titans at Patriots. New England is favored by a fat 7 points. Give me the Patriots to cover. Titans are just too banged up. There's nothing I can do. Like that, I talked about the Ravens being banged up. Truthfully, the Titans have been neck and neck with them in the injuries department. No A.J. Brown, no Julio Jones, no Derrick Henry, no Bud Dupree. Just all these injuries. They're mounting up, and it's just hard to come back from. And that's why the spread is so big. New England's been playing well as of late, so I'm going to ride that high and say New England covers. I think I had talked about the Titans being able to handle being without Henry, but not all of this. They're in a bad state injury-wise. Eagles at Giants. Eagles are favored by 3.5 points. I'm going to pick the Eagles to cover. The Giants just aren't a very good football team. It's just how it is, and all their injuries are piled up too. Sterling Shepard's injured. Saquon Barkley's still injured. Saquon Barkley might play for this game, but they're just a very injured team that even when they're healthy is just not very good. So give me the Eagles. Falcons at Jaguars. Oh my. I am very excited to see what John picks for this game. Because John swore he would never pick the Falcons again, but I didn't know this game was coming up. I think he did. I'm going to be so excited to see what he picks because I know he doesn't like the Jaguars almost as equally. I guess we'll find out. We're going to find out who he likes more. He said he was going to commit to the Falcons all year, to picking against them all year, but the Jaguars are run by Urban Meyer. It makes it really tough. I'm picking the Falcons to cover. With Cordell, I'm thinking Cordero Patterson is going to play, and I think that's all they need to win. And probably by 3 points. It's probably going to be a close game, but I think that's the only difference. They've been able to put up no offense because they've had no weapons with no Calvin Ridley, no Cordero Patterson the past game and a half. But, I mean, it has been Kyle Pitts, but I'm still picking the Falcons to cover. A.J. Terrell has been a pretty good cornerback on the defensive side. Deion Jones is still a pretty solid player, even though he's questionable for this game. I think he's also going to play. Give me the Falcons to cover. Jets at Texans. Houston's favored by 2.5 points. Throw this game into the sun. I'm not even giving it the light of day to talk about it. Texans cover. Chargers at Broncos. Chargers are favored by 2.5 points. Give me the Chargers to cover. I thought that line was a little bit disrespectful. I know that the Chargers almost blew a late lead to the Steelers last week, but sheesh, I don't believe in the Broncos like that. I don't know. I would have given the Chargers like at least 4.5. I don't know. Weird for me, but give me the Chargers to cover. Rams at Packers. Rams are favored by 1 point. Think that's fair, but I'm not a believer in the Rams anymore. Give me the Packers +1. It doesn't mean that the Rams are bad if they lose this game, but I understand where Vegas is coming from favoring the Rams. The Packers are injured. Aaron Rodgers got a broken toe. Aaron Jones is still not back. What's his face? The edge rusher is still not back yet. That was supposed to come back soonish. Zadarius Smith. That's who I was looking for. Their cornerback that got hurt against us. Wow, I'm really just struggling with names right now. That I wasn't a big fan of. Jair Alexander. Jair Alexander. I think I said his name wrong. Yeah, I don't think that they're coming back. Oh, and they just lost Elton Jenkins for the year. He started the year not playing, and now, unfortunately, he's done. I think they do get David Bakhtiari back, though. Give me the Packers +1, though. I'm just kind of stalling, saying a lot about little. Give me the Packers +1. Vikings at 49ers. San Francisco is favored by 3 points. I think this line is atrocious. I have no idea why San Fran is favored in this game. It makes no sense to me. Everson Griffin doesn't make the difference. I guess that's something I should have talked about. Everson Griffin is having a kind of a mental breakdown again. He was seen in a video talking about that there's people outside his house, and he shot his gun inside his house and he wasn't coming out. That was a big deal. He's been placed on the physically able list, the NFI list, because of it. I mean, he just needs some help. I really hope the best for him because I think, I know people joke like, oh, this player must have CTE. There's a legitimate chance he has CTE, and if he doesn't, he might have schizophrenia. And mental illness is no joke. Check up on your friends, check up on your family, make sure they're okay. And I hope that Everson Griffin gets help. But back to football things. I have no idea why San Francisco is favored by 3 points. Like, I want it explained to me. I want to be sat down and told this is why they're favored by 3 points. I want I would have taken the Vikings to cover if they were favored by 3 points. If anyone wants to explain to me why this line is the way it is, feel free. I just want to go over their injury report again because this feels like a game where, oh yeah, Justin Jefferson and Dalvin Cook are hurt. Then I'd understand a little bit. Dalvin Tomlinson, defensive tackle, out. Cameron Bynum, the backup safety, questionable. Everson Griffin, out. Josh Metellus, safety, questionable. Bissy Johnson, wide receiver, injured reserve. No. No. That is my answer to this. I would love if someone could explain to me why San Francisco is favored in this game. And by 3 points at that. Not even I hate to harp on it, but the Vikings beat the Packers in a really solid game last week, I mean. You know who the 49ers beat up on? They beat up on the Jaguars. That's what makes people excited about this? I have no idea. Might ask John after this what he thinks about that line and why he thinks it's that way. Browns at Ravens. Baltimore's favored by 3.5. Tough. Very, very tough choice. Oh, the Browns locker room I feel like is just in such disarray right now. I don't know, and I know that kind of sounds stupid when talking about gameplay, but I feel like it's gonna play an impact. There was reports that the Browns locker room is so close to turning on Baker Mayfield. Lamar Jackson should be back. I'm going back and forth. I'll just to give you guys full disclosure, I picked the Ravens to cover. That's what I have written down. I'm going to pick the Ravens to cover. I don't see a reason why the Browns are going to be able to win this with everything going on with them. It just feels like the AFC North is kind of like the NFC West this year where anything's going to happen. You're not going to have games that make sense. And to me, this should be an easy Ravens win, but part of me feels like the Browns might, through the chaos, might rise like a phoenix. Give me the Ravens to cover, though. Before I talk myself out of it. That was Sunday Night Football, by the way. Monday Night Football is Seahawks at Washington. The line is even. Give me the Seahawks to win. The Washington football team played amazing the past 2 weeks for who they are. They played really good. They beat the Bucs. They beat the Panthers, even with Cam Newton, Christian McCaffrey. They're doing solid, but I think... And the Seahawks suck on the opposite side of things. Russell Wilson's come back, and nothing's changed. They put up 0 points against the Packers, and then lost to a Colt McCoy-led Cardinals. Not good. Not good at all. Their offense just looks bad right now. The bye week teams are the Chiefs and Cardinals this week, and that wraps that up. So now we're going to go talk about some XFactors, bold predictions, and the final score. So my XFactors, I kind of touched on them a lot. They're the two guys that didn't play that I think will make the biggest difference last time, and that's Deontay Johnson and TJ Watt. Deontay Johnson, as I pointed out, is going to be better than all those cornerbacks. I want to see them take advantage of that, use him a lot, look at his way a lot, which shouldn't be a problem. They always look Deontay Johnson's way when he's playing. And I think that he's going to be the difference maker in this game. Same for TJ Watt. Watt not playing last time really hurt the pass rush. And I mean, it makes sense. He's an all-pro. Surprise. that not having him sucks. Not having him play sucks. Anyhow. Yeah, I think that he's going to be a difference maker this time. He gets to play. Him and Alex Highsmith together. I mean, you can make. I'm gonna say that the pass rush as a whole, I guess, or the outside linebackers. Let's make the outside linebackers the X factors of this game because I mean they both didn't play, so I'll get them both included there. But I think Watt's gonna be the bigger deal playing. I know Highsmith's been hot as of late, but I think they'll make a difference. As for my bold predictions, I'm gonna say T.J. Watt has 4 sacks. I don't know. He's an All-Pro, so I don't know if that's really bold enough for him. Chandler Jones had 5 this year. Myles Garrett had a game with 5 sacks. I don't know. I still think 4 sacks for a guy is pretty hard. You don't really see it very often. Even for a guy like him. Deontay Johnson's going to have a 2 touchdown game and a 2-point conversion. And a bad one is that Chris Boswell misses a point after attempt after a penalty, drives it back. That's why the Steelers need a 2-point conversion. As for my final score, let's talk about it. Steelers are in a bad spot. I won't lie. They don't really look good. They're not playing together as a team. When the offense does good, the defense is bad. When the defense is good, the offense is bad. I think they find a way. As I pointed out, I think the AFC North is stupid this year. I think that the difference of having those guys back, the TJ Watt, the Alex Highsmith, the Deontay Johnson, is going to be enough for a win. I think it's going to be a close game, 24-21, but the Steelers are going to edge it out. So that kind of wraps up this episode of the Stronger Than Steel podcast. If you have any questions, feel free to email us or reach out in the comments. You can find our social media and stuff in the description below. And everybody, go Steelers. Enjoy Sunday.